I'm gonna do the Jeremy intro. Dun, 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 dun.
Who's flipping my flapjacks?
Here's your next 10x stock. Dun, 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 dun.
Dude, I still, I've been really tired. I still need to go through and do Voyager, the Voyager stock, because I was looking at the balance sheet. It's like negative 30 million. I'm like, this is just straight gambling. That's all this is. You're gambling, dude.
All right, so for the viewers, what's the context of this Voyager stock?
I forget what it is. It's some sort of crypto thing like Coinbase.
Yeah, but who's trying to invest in it?
Financial education, douchebag.
Jeremy?
Yeah.
If anybody's watching right now, if you're subscribed to Jeremy from Financial Education, you need to hit that unsubscribe and then subscribe to my channel and Jay Noggy's.
I view it like this. If the company isn't profitable and they don't have a strong moat, buying a stock is straight up gambling.
I mean, honestly, the best way to go about it is obviously you want a company with a good moat, but I at least like to wait until they're profitable. I mean, because you can still get pretty big gains once you're sure that it's going to be sustainably profitable, especially in the beginning.
Peter Lynch talks about Walmart going public. And he said, I forget what he said, but he's like, you had 7 years to get in on the stock before it really took off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Same thing with Amazon.
Yeah, if you want to be prudent, you want to wait till it's profitable over 4 or 5, 6 quarters because you're still getting in early and it's actually a good viable business.
I mean, if you waited on Amazon and you weren't sure, and you waited till 2010 and you just said, okay, Amazon's going to be a monster. It was $100 a share. It was hovering around $100 a share. You would have 30x'd your money in 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
And you didn't take any of the gambling risk. And, we've talked about it. I think playing penny stocks, I think gambling on some stocks can be fun. But you can't view it any different than you gambling on a mixed martial arts fight. It's not investing. Yeah.
Some people just have gambling instincts. I mean, I never had that. I mean, even a little bit of money, I just can't gamble it because I know I'm throwing my money at something that doesn't have any fundamentals. It's just all guesswork. So
I'll play a win for life maybe 4 or 5 times a year. That's about it. Because I'm like, whatever. I got $1 here to play this, but it was I was getting some coffee in Dunkin' Donuts, and when I was in there, I see these people, and they're just going through all of these lottery tickets, and I wanted to stop them and say, this ETF VYM here, it's going to pay you 3% on it per year. It's guaranteed. It's one of the most risk-free things you can do. It's a value play. And I'm sitting there, and you get paid for it. You're not even gambling.
Yeah. Is somebody messaging you? We're going to have a guest. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I had VYM when I was I had all these different ETFs, and it's not a bad ETF, but I consolidated everything. And I did a video recently showing my portfolio, and even then, that's still too diverse for me. I want to collapse it even further, so I'm just waiting. I'm waiting to get some long-term capital gains on the healthcare and that small cap and Fidelity. I'm going to sell that and probably max my Roth IRA with it.
Yeah, I mean, like I said to somebody, 25% total world, 25% S&P 500 or VTI, S&P and 25 in small and mid caps. I really think you're going to have a tough time beating that with anything that you do.
The only worry I have with that portfolio is it's super US weighted because even VT is more than half US. So with that portfolio, it's probably 12% international.
Well, you could even work it out that it's you're 75 or 50% total world. And then, you could just that combination and whatever you think is appropriate for your portfolio is going to be tough to beat.
Yeah, that's why I like VBR because I have VT, but it skews super large cap, even international. So I have like 15% VBR. It's small cap value, but it also has some mid cap values in there. So I kind of get like a chunk of my portfolio in the smaller ones, and then the rest is just total world, and then a little bit of real estate because like I'm a fan of real estate because it's not very correlated with the overall market. So you'll have ups and downs, and they'll be inversely related to each other.
REITs actually outperformed tech in the past 20 years.
And I'm pretty confident now at the prices they're at. I mean, especially after this downturn, I'm pretty bullish about it long term.
Yeah, dude. Like I said, the only reason I didn't buy more BABA stock is I'm just too overweight in it. I sit there and I'm like, well, what if it gets delisted? I'm like, this just is too much, as much as it's like at 222 right now. And I'm like, when he told me its PEG ratio was near 1, I was like, oh, there's the Peter Lynch ratio.
Yeah, I've never seen like any of the other big companies like Amazon and all. They're not even close to 1. And I looked at Alibaba and I was like, damn,
That's originally how I got into Alibaba. I started looking at it. I looked at its PE ratio and its PEG ratio last year. So I was buying a lot of it at like $170.
Yeah, you got a good price. I mean, I'm looking at like 220 now. The 220 seems to be like the floor of it. And I was like, okay, if it dips even more, maybe I'll throw in more. But it went back up. But it was still a good price that I bought it at.
If it drops below 200, I'm going back in.
Yeah, it's definitely a good buy. I mean, if you're looking at all the stocks in the market, everybody's scared because it's a Chinese company. Oh my God, delisting and can't trust the communists. But I mean, this company's freaking huge. Okay, I don't think Alibaba is going to go under. So if you want to put some money in it, you go right ahead.
Alibaba is nearly a play on just the Chinese economy.
Mm-hmm.
They're sending a message to Jack Ma. Okay, when we get through this little temper tantrum, everything's going to be all fine. They just wanted to rein him back in and send a message to the other billionaires that, look, the CCP isn't playing. You don't get to criticize us. You don't have freedom of speech in this country. And that's all they're really doing. So, and I mean, I don't know how much people are going to accept you delisting Alibaba.
I don't think it's going to happen because it's such a big part of, a lot of portfolios. Like VT, it's got a good chunk in there too. A lot of Americans have a lot of money tied up in Alibaba. And I don't think it's going to get so bad to the point where they're going to delist a massive company like that.
And as far as everybody fears China being the world's #1 power in 2049 with their project, maybe. But China's got a massive demographic crisis coming up, and that's from the one-child policy. And I don't see how they can maintain their massive growth. Whereas our population in this country is pretty young. Africa's population is also pretty young. In a lot of other Asian countries, their population is young. So I see it militarily as a major world power, but my prediction is the United States will lose power, but it will still be a superpower. It's just there's going to be a bunch of superpowers at that point. It's no longer going to be just the United States dominates everything. And that's just a world we're going to have to live with because empires rise and fall.
Yeah, we have so many advantages. We're not going anywhere. We're just not going to be, like you said, the super dominant power. So, I think it'll be like the EU will probably be one if it holds together. The US is another, and then China, and maybe if they work together with Russia. But I don't know how well that's going to go.
Russia doesn't want to work with them. If Biden was smart, instead of calling Putin a killer, I would just be quietly behind the scenes. I'd say some stuff about him, and that would just be, political theater. But I would be behind public scenes working with Russia to check China's power. Because Russia and China, they're on each other's border. And Russia doesn't want a world dominated by China.
Yeah, they're probably scared that China's going to try to take Siberia or something. Like they have a ton of resources out there, so China's probably eyeing that as like, ooh.
China could easily take Siberia if they wanted to. Their military is way stronger than Russia. When people talk about like Russia's this threat, I'm like, Russia is like 11th Like this, the state of Texas has a larger economy than Russia.
Yeah, they just have a lot of old Soviet crap left over. I mean, they got like tons of tanks and stuff, but I don't think they'd be able to fight well against China or us or even the EU. I guess if they all came together, they could probably hold them off. You know?
No, dude, their technology is not that advanced. One American Abrams tank would take out 10 of their tanks. Like when we went into Iraq the first time, we went into Kuwait, the tankers were talking about how it was just unfair, our tanks versus versus the Iraqi tanks, and it would be like that. It was like they had to basically, do all these calculations to shoot, where the Abrams is doing 40 miles an hour and just blowing holes in multiple tanks.
Oh yeah, it was a slaughter. Like I remember reading that the Soviets at the time were freaking out because we just crushed the Iraqis so bad. They were like, maybe we need to reevaluate our tactics, because if America crushed Iraq that bad, what are they going to do to us if we ever fight them? And then
in a ground war, it's only came out afterwards, but in a ground war, we would have destroyed the Soviet Union. It wouldn't have even been a contest. Like, their technology was so far behind ours. This is another thing people don't take in consideration. Yeah, China's stealing our stuff, but the problem with that is China doesn't allow independent thought. Our country is creative, and when you have a creative society, it creates, you're more able to create a solution to problems, think in ways that are creative, because there's a lot of money on the line. So we have decentralized command in our military too, which most militaries around the world don't, and to their detriment. It's like, yeah, I don't need my commander or anybody. It's like, oh, you sent me out here to run this generator? Okay, that's what I'm going to do. Then I'm going to make a command decision. Well, we had to abandon the position because we aren't equipped to fight, and they were coming in. So we torched the generator. I let all the oil out, and I froze it up. Other militaries don't make that call. So,
yeah, I mean, we have a lot more reliance on like the non-commissioned officer corps, whereas I think like a lot of militaries, it's just like, one officer leads the masses and that's it, which causes a lot of problems, because if your NCOs suck, you can't really, split up and maneuver your forces that well. It takes a lot more effort for that one guy to manage all those people.
I think it was Jocko was saying that, it was either Jocko or maybe it was Marcus Luttrell on Rogan recently, said that a problem with training the Afghan soldiers is you have to tell them what to do all the time. Instead of just telling them their job and they just go and do their job. Like, this is your mission, get it done. Well, how do I do it? Improvise, adapt, and overcome, man. We talk about how you do it.
Hold my hand, please.
Yeah. So, I mean, we're one of the few militaries that has that, which is why no matter what, like, Americans are always going to be nasty at fighting, no matter what you do.
Yeah, even our fat, lazy country still has some warriors. Because, we have so many people, even if like 1 in 10 is a warrior, that's still enough to have a pretty good military.
Well, David Goggins had an interesting quote on that. He said, of 100 men on a battlefield, 10 shouldn't be there, 90 are just targets, 9 do most of the fighting, and 1 is a warrior. And like, when he said that to me, I'm like, I think this applies to nearly everything that people do in life.
Oh yeah, I mean, like I think it's called like the Pareto principle, where the vast majority of the talent and the wealth always filters and goes to like the top 1 to 20%. It always shakes out that way in every organization. That's why people are like, oh, inequality, oh my God. It's always going to be that way. There's always going to be a small minority that tends to, take up the majority of the wealth or the talent or the skill, and the rest are just kind of like, left off to the side.
Well, I told you, I don't know did I say this last time? I don't remember. But I wish I had the technology to do it. Hell or High Water is an amazing movie. It's a modern Western. It's in the Wind River and Sicario. are part of the trilogy. Anyways, Chris Pine and his brother, they go around robbing banks because they've discovered oil on their mother's land in West Texas, and the bank will foreclose on it in 30 days. So they rob all these banks, then they pay the bank back with the robbed money after they launder it through going to the casino. Okay? So at the end, there was a shootout, and Jeff Bridges' partner got killed. He's the main Texas Ranger. At the end, Jeff Bridges shows up at his house, and he says, "Why'd you do it?" And because he knows the brother was in on it, but the brother's been cleared by the cops, and the bank won't testify because they run the oil trust now. And he denies it, but at the end he gives this little speech, and he's like 40 years old at the time, in his late 30s. And he goes, "I've been poor my whole life." He starts talking about poverty. And I wanted to deep fake myself into the scene where I go, "Did you know that you can go to school to become a plumber for 20 grand and then you'll earn over $100,000 a year?" So it's like all you had to do was acquire a skill that people wanted, dude.
Yeah, I learned that lesson very quickly when I got out of the military because I was evaluating myself. I'm like, what do I know how to do? I know how to fight wars and shoot guns, but like, what do I know how to do? And like, just the generic skill of leadership doesn't equip you to do anything, which is why I decided to do accounting, because I just needed something that people actually wanted. And lo and behold, I got a job. Imagine that.
Well, the great thing about accounting, like I wish I had done accounting over finance, man. I really
you still can, Jay. You still can.
But it's just, you own your labor when you're an accountant. We're going to fire you. Okay.
Well, it depends if you're a CPA and you're like very good at like tax or audit or something, you're really skilled. Yeah. But if you're just like a generic accountant, I mean, it's a little bit harder to just quit your job and start your own business because you just know the basic stuff. So even in that field, you still have to be highly technical. Like even me, I have a CPA, but I'm not like a tax professional. So even I would have to like start from scratch almost if I got fired.
Yeah. Well, okay. Let's put it another way. Let's say you studied really hard and you became a forensic accountant, high level. Somebody looks at you and they're like, "Hey, we'll fire you." Okay.
Yeah, that's where you want to
be a threat to me. If you're a plumber and your boss in the modern world, when there's a shortage of plumbers, if your boss goes, "No, you're going to work overtime or you're fired." Okay. Did you know that I live below my means and I have a unique skill set?
Yeah, as long as you have that skill and you have like a solid cushion of money, like, if you got fired, you could live for 2, 3, 4 years without starving to death. I mean, yeah, like what do you have to worry about? Even if you do lose your job, it's like, okay, I'll just, live off my savings and I'll find a new job or I'll start my own business because I have skills. So it's a great.
If you put me back in my 18-year-old body, I'd just become lethal. I'd just acquire just so many skills that you could. All right, I'm going to join the military, and I'm going to become a plumber in the military. Get out of school. If I decide to get out, or while I'm on active duty, take a plumbing technical course. Then while I'm on active duty, learn accounting. Get out. If I got out, go back and get like a master's in accounting or a doctorate. Like, there's just so many combinations, and it just generally doesn't dawn on people till the time they're 30 or 40. That's the weird thing about it. Like, you don't want to listen to people. Like, I've tried telling my niece, like, don't go to school for nursing. Why do you want to wipe somebody's butt? And like, go to school for accounting.
Well, is she doing CNA or like what is she doing?
She's going to be a certified whatever. She's going to be a professional nurse. She's doing the bachelor's level.
Okay, because like RNs can make a decent amount, but if she's going to do like CNA, which is like butt wipers, they make like $10 an hour, and then even LPNs, you're probably not going to go over 40 grand a year, or maybe 50 if you're lucky. Yeah, but if you're an RN or you become a nurse practitioner, you can make some money. It's just kind of it can be a hard job because they work crazy hours and they work in a hospital.
have nothing but respect for the nurses that I work with. I'm just like, I don't know how you do it. Like, I'm like, your hours are brutal. 12-hour days.
Yeah, it's a tough job. I mean, that's why it pays well, because you have to have technical training. You actually have to know a skill, and you work hard hours. So, I mean, I respect them, but it's just not my cup of tea personally. I'm not a fan of anything I don't give a crap about biology or medical stuff. It just doesn't interest me.
No, it's like, here's what basically my interests are: stand-up comedy, investing, so that I can make the perfect portfolio. That means I can tell the world to just go F themselves if I don't want to do something. And guns and video games. It's what I like to do. You know, I'm getting a Henry lever action rifle for this Christmas.
I mean, yeah, you only have time for so many hobbies. Like, I mean, even I'm kind of like overwhelmed now doing all this crap, and I couldn't add anything else unless I cut something. So you can only pick like, 3, maybe 4 things max that you do, and anything else just has to fall by the wayside.
Yeah, it's like, do you know how much time you really have to devote to stand-up comedy? People talk about, well, I just go up and I write on stage. Yeah, but you don't ever make anybody laugh. It takes you 6 months to put together 5 minutes. Whereas me, because I haven't been lately because I'm organizing things, but me, because I write 250 words a day, shit comes out, so I can have a new 5 minutes that's okay in a month, and then sharpen it from there. And it's like I tell one guy asked me, he goes, "How do you have so much material?" I go, "I write 250 words a day." And he goes, "You write 250 words a day?" I go, "Yeah." I'm like, "Do you want to get good at your hobby and have the possibility that you could do it in the future for money?" Like, yeah. Okay. Then you got to write.
Yeah,
that's
you're
why
not going to make big bucks unless you get really good at something, especially a hobby. Like, you have to be really good because a lot of other people do it. So you have to stand out.
My set wasn't even that well. And this is like the 5th professional comedian that's come up to me after my set Sunday night. I didn't even practice. And she goes, "How long have you been doing stand-up?" And I go, "I've been on stage like less than 100 times." She's like, "I'm impressed with your writing. It's intelligent." She's like, "Nobody's talking about Hadrian's Wall." Because I have a joke that I think I told you about. They found a stone that a Roman soldier had carved a penis in it. But, it's like I punched disproportionately above my weight class. Like, I had a fucking guy who's big in the scene now, and I put up with his shit for a while. And now I'm just like, I'm done with this dude. Now I'm just going to go up behind him and crush, even though he's a working comedian and he thinks he's funny. I'm going to show him that I'm way funnier than he is, because he said some stuff to me in Facebook where I let it go. But he said to me one day, it's like, "You're not good enough. You're not doing the work." And I was like, "Yeah, but my LPMs are way higher than anything you've ever done. So what does that tell you?"
Is this guy
like
getting
my laughs per minute are like, people come and watch you, and yet my laughs per minute, like I see you get maybe 1 or 2 people to laugh in the audience. I'm up there you're trying to talk pseudo intellectual BS. I'm talking about paying hookers to spit in my mouth, and the crowd's cracking up. Like, what get out of here. Me and Nate.
People are always gonna like try, especially if you're like a small anything. They're gonna dump on you, like, "Oh, you're never gonna make it." But you just got to keep chugging along, and eventually you get better. That's how you grow. I mean, it applies to YouTube as well as anything else.
Yeah, well, Nate and I both talked about how we're done with this dude, and we're just going to start mocking him.
Is it a woman or a guy?
It's a man. It's a poli-sci major who likes to talk about how smart he is, and he's not that smart.
Does he actually get paid for stand-up? Like, why? How is he in like a better?
Yeah, sometimes, and it's pseudo-intellectual garbage. It's all just woke nonsense, is what it is.
Oh, like Trump jokes?
Little bit, yeah. And then, how much smarter he is than everybody. And then it's like, dude, nobody wants to hear that, okay? There's ways to say you're smarter than everybody, but it's by acting like you're dumb.
Yeah.
It's
I
like,
need to come compare him to you and see who does better.
oh,
I'll be brutally honest too.
oh, Nate already told me. Nate's actually passed at Side Splitters down here. That's dude, you're way funnier than he is.
So
He
are
goes,
you getting paid at all, or like are you still not? So like, well, what does it take to start getting paid?
normally what happens is other comedians give you jobs. So a comedian will see your stuff and they'll be like, hey man, you want to do 5 minutes for me? Or you can get passed at Side Splitters or any of the clubs around here, which means if a guy comes into town, you might do open 3 minutes for him or 5 minutes for him. Nate's going to open for a guy coming in March or April. And, you know, it is what it is, man. And it's like, there's a lot of guys who go up who get laughs. Their sense of humor is not my sense of humor. I don't think they're bad up there. But this dude criticizes everybody, just talks about how he's straight better than everybody. And I'm like, dude, I have never seen you crush.
You need to beat him up. Is he a big guy?
Dude, I'll put it to you this way. He's about 6'2", 180 pounds. And even with all my injuries, it would end really bad for him.
I'm going to say 6'2" is tall, but 180 that tall, that's not that big.
Bro, I'd get his waist. He'd have no defense against me getting his waist or single legging him. He would not know what to do once I grabbed him. And then I would just get top mount on him. And there's nothing he's doing after. He would not know what to do when I held both his legs together with my legs and got my hooks in behind his knees.
How old is this guy?
25, 26.
Oh, young whippersnapper.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of talent. Like an actual a working professional who worked with Doug Stanhope just put him in his place on Facebook.
Nice. You got to send me his name offline. Maybe I can check him out on YouTube if he has anything. Or
I don't know if he is, man. I don't know. He may be. I've never Googled him.
You should start filming your bits. Like, don't you have one on your channel?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you should keep filming them and putting them on YouTube. You might grow your own audience on YouTube and make money from ad revenue.
You know what I thought about doing is giving the audience a new minute in the beginning of the month and then a new minute at the end of the month. And, you know, if I did it enough, I could have enough built up that it was releasing one a week, but it would just be like the minutes would be compressed together. So it would be a 4 minutes where you'd see it develop. Or just doing minute-long bits and showing you what they turn into later on. Because you can just go up with an idea. Like, I've got a good video game bit now. It gets a lot of laughs. And it basically started as I did a minute on it right before the COVID crisis. And then I just started adding stuff to it.
Yeah, it's definitely an avenue to explore. You know, especially if you're getting bored with, like, finance stuff. It's like, okay, maybe I'll do some comedy or go somewhere else.
Oh, trust me, bro. If I got the opportunity, you know, to be a working comedian and just make YouTube videos, yeah, I'm done with the rat race. I could be done right now, but, you know, I want to just stack as much cash as possible because in reality, if I stacked, like, if I get to the point where I move up and I'm just saving my entire paycheck, I could work 9 more years and just be like, I'm done.
I mean,
like,
do you even consider yourself in the rat race? Like, I really don't for myself.
No,
you know, I'm saving a ton of money. I don't care if I become the top dog in my organization. Like, I'm not working hard I work hard at work, obviously, but I'm not going to cry and, you know, off myself if I don't become the chief financial officer. Just kind of, I want to make enough so I can max my TSP and my Roth, and that's all I need.
Wow. Yeah. And the thing is the people that are in that rat race that want to get to the rank climbers, they're spending all their money to impress their friends anyways.
Dude. I actually saw there was this YouTuber that she's like a big time YouTuber. My friend sent a video to me. She made a ton of money in Bitcoin. And then guess what she bought with the money she made? A Tesla. She got a freaking Tesla. So like a lot, yeah, like you were saying, a lot of these people in the rat race, or even people that are like super like making a ton of money, they dump their money into garbage. So at the end of the day, it's almost like they didn't earn the money at all because they just blew it.
Well, like Jeremy, when his fan base calls him like really smart, I just look at him and I go, dude, he can take these chances on a 30x because he makes all his money on YouTube.
Oh, absolutely. He's like, oh, I got a ton of cash. Well, yeah, he probably got his YouTube commission check, and that's why he's able to do that. But not everybody else has the cash cushion to be throwing money in this stock and that stock. Because if you're not maxing your IRA and your 401k, you don't have any business doing any of that stuff. Whereas he has enough money to do all that crap and not even worry about it.
Well, I asked one of his fans, like I was arguing with one of his fans, and I said, okay, all right, so you don't want to listen to me. I'll go, let me ask you a question. You know, he's friends with Magic guy, Andre Geek, and Graham Stephan, okay? So if Jeremy was this brilliant stock picker, why don't his friends invest the way he does, and why aren't they members of his group? You know, because if you were consistently 10xing, I'd be like, hey, man, where are you putting that money?
I mean, he would be a billionaire. If he was 10xing, he would just have like ungodly amounts of money. Whereas if you look at his portfolio, I don't think he has that much, especially relative to the other YouTubers. You know, I think they have way more than him, and they just buy freaking index funds.
Wow, yeah, he makes all his money from that stock market mastery course, and just you saw him in the Tesla 25X. I don't know if I disagree with it. If somebody brought me a detailed sheet broken down about how Tesla's going to 25X from here, I would look at him and be like, are you retarded? Why would I even waste my money?
The car market's not even that big. Like, is it literally possible to 25x? Because the car market, it's not the entire economy. There's only a certain amount of cars that people are going to buy.
Look at the market cap. What would it ridiculously be at? What would we be at, like, if it 25x from here? $10 trillion?
It'd probably be like $25-30 trillion, which is literally isn't that the value of the entire S&P 500?
Somewhere along that line, probably.
Like, literally, Tesla is bigger than every single company in the United States. Yeah, okay, so their market cap right now is 614,000. So 614 billion. I'm enormous.
Yeah. So to say that it would 25x from here, like how is that possible?
I mean, with the Tesla stock, there is so much more downside risk than upside risk. Or upside potential. I just don't see how anybody could reasonably still be pumping that stock. I mean, what's the point? I would be like, I'd take my gains and I'd be happy.
Kathy Woods has to, or ARK collapses under the sheer weight of its stupidity. For a while, I was like, oh, this woman's really smart. She's the next Buffett. And then I really started listening to her and looking at what she was saying. And then Sven Carlin just confirmed it when he did that video where I don't think he named her, but he said the reason, he might have, I don't remember, but said the reason why they're doing this is because they have to maintain this or ARK will just collapse under its own weight.
Yeah,
there'll be so much out.
It's all about fund flows. Like the more money we get coming in, the higher our stocks go, and that's it. Like they're not buying on fundamentals. It's just all hype and marketing, and just say disruptors, and people will put their money into it.
Well, that's why when we had that guy on, I'm like, "What are you gonna do with your money?" He's like, "I'm gonna buy ARK funds," and I'm like, "Don't go, man. Let me tell you why you don't want to do that." Like,
honestly, like once you know the fundamental, it's so common sense. If everybody's talking about it, it's probably in a bubble. Whereas if everybody's dumping on it, but it's still a good company, it's probably a good time to buy. Like it's really not a hard process. It's really not. But people could get too complicated.
I swear to God, I don't know how many people are watching this, but if you wanted to pick stocks You could pick stocks on PE ratio, intrinsic value, PEG ratio, earnings per share, book value, and just knowing a little bit on the balance sheet, and you wouldn't go broke. And that's how I know these guys on YouTube don't know what they're talking about. When you actually just go and look at basic fundamentals. Oh, its book value is 7-1. Oh, yeah, here, let me pay 7 times what I should for a good company. And its intrinsic value is $67 and the stock's trading at $600. Oh, here. Like Tesla's intrinsic value, according to one site, is 0.
Well, I mean,
because they know that they're only profitable because of carbon credits.
Yeah, I still need to do the analysis on their income statement. When I get to my next class, I'm going to do that and really dive into it. But, I mean, at least they're profitable. So it has some value, and I'm sure they'll be able to profit and be around for a while. But it's not. We all know it's not worth what it's worth right now. But, people, they're super short term. They think they see past performance. They look at the last year. Oh, it went up a lot. That means it's going to keep going up. And that's all they do. That's literally all they do.
Yeah, dude, I look at things a little bit different. When I look at an index fund, I'm like, oh, it's down for the year. I need to throw more money in there. I'm getting a better deal on this. Like I just look at it now.
Oh, remember we were talking about that oil ETF VDE? I think we talked about that like a couple months ago. And we were like, yeah, I mean, oil's not going anywhere. Like this thing is way undervalued. And then, dude, I looked at it, like it's gone up like almost probably 90% in the last year at least. Like it's been on fire. So I think we actually called that well.
Oh, dude, here's the thing. Later on, in the next couple of years, stuff that we're calling right now is going to happen. And people are going to be looking at us like, wait, what were you guys saying? Well, yeah, here's why we're saying what we're saying, because it just doesn't make sense. The whole market doesn't make sense right now. I personally think that we're going to be in for a flat decade.
Yeah,
which is not a bad thing.
Yeah, I definitely don't like large cap US. That's why I'm trying to get like small caps, and I'm doing international and, basically whatever I can, real estate, whatever I can to like stay as far away from US large cap as possible, because it's just it's so overvalued. I mean, it's just common sense.
Yeah. And it was, like you said, though, we were sitting there and we were going, how'd you guys know that the oil ETF was going to go back up? Because oil's cyclical. It's in a down cycle. It happens. And I knew I should have bought ExxonMobil and Chevron stock, but I was just too busy loading up on other stuff. I was like, dude, this ExxonMobil with a 10% dividend, I'm like, that means my money is locked in at 10% for the time I own the stock, and it's not going anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that holds me back from these opportunities is I just don't like to buy individual stocks. I mean, I have Alibaba and Walmart, and that's literally it. But, maybe if I kind of loosen up a little bit and decide to maybe play with a couple thousand, maybe I'll start looking at these opportunities. But I'm not a fan of having 20 stuff in my portfolio. It's just too much.
Well, that's another thing that tells me that you don't see. I was explaining, I think I forget who I explained this to about Andre Geek. He finally got smart and threw his money into VTI. But this was something I was explaining to Nate one time. I go, you want to know how I know he doesn't know what he's doing? He has 200 different stocks in his portfolio. It's all generated for YouTube. I'm like, he's like, well, why is that bad? Because, Nate's still starting out. And I said, because you don't have the time in the day, even if you're just a YouTuber making videos, to keep track of those companies intelligently. Like, I know what Bank of America is doing. I know what Bank of New York is doing. And I know what Baba is doing because I check it every day. I don't have time to sit around and pay attention to 200 different companies, nor do I have the desire to do that.
A human has the ability to really track 4 or 5 things at once, and anything above that gets too complicated. So if you think about it from that perspective, well, you can buy 4 or 5 stocks, but then that's super risky, because you're concentrated in 4 or 5 companies. So the only alternative in my mind is if you can only track 3 or 4 things, then you should just buy broadly diversified ETFs, because then you're only tracking, broadly, you're only tracking the ETFs. You don't have to worry about one ETF going to zero like a stock possibly could.
The only actual real regret that I have is not loading up on Berkshire.
Well, I think recently, haven't they underperformed the S&P 500? I mean, I think for
the past 10 years they have, but I mean, I still have confidence in Buffett. He knows the game is the long con.
Well, you know what a good time to buy in would be probably when he dies. I mean, I hate to say that, but there's going to be
Charlie Munger and him kick the bucket at the same time. I'm running up hand over fist, selling my hat. All my stuff will be gone in the background. Like, you ran in on Berkshire because Buffett died. Like, yep.
Yeah, if you want to have a stock that's 5% of your portfolio and not worry about it, that's probably a stock you can have.
Wait, what?
I'm saying, we talk about 5% you can put in individual.
Yeah.
If you just put all 5% in Berkshire Hathaway, I think that's probably the least, risky bet you could possibly take.
And that's what it is. The number one rule in investing is don't lose money, because it maximizes your profits. That's how you maximize your profits. You don't lose money. So, I mean, if a stock is down and it's still paying dividends, why are you selling it? Because now you've lost money.
Yeah, that's why, I basically never sell, and I'm only going to buy a company that I know is probably undervalued now and in the long term will go up. So even then I don't have an incentive to sell until it really skyrockets. So I've never sold stock. I've been investing for like 11, 12 years. And I've done really well, and I haven't sold a single damn thing except to close out Robinhood. But that was just like chump change. But it works.
Yeah.
You buy and hold good stuff, and that's all you got to do.
Bank in New York isn't going anywhere. My uncle, he left it to me. I just chuck it in there. And I sold off some to lower my position. I've told you it's actually a sentimental thing. But I mean, that investment's doing quite well for me. It just sits there paying dividends to me every 3 months. And, Sven was saying he's looking at why he's all in is he's looking at a 3% gain per year over the next decade. Okay. That's fine.
Yeah, you're making cost averaging, even if it's a flat decade. I mean, you're still going to make decent money because you're going to be buying the dips and, maybe buying a little bit of highs. But even with a flat market that's zigzagging, you're still going to make money just buying every, 2 weeks or month.
Well, dude, why I can't wait for a crash is so everybody stops talking about the stock market and they're like, this is terrible. I lost all this money. Like, yeah, this is horrible. It's like
I'm never buying a stock again. Meanwhile, I'm just like dumping all my money in.
Right? It's like if we were alive in 1929 and we were accountants where we didn't just lever to the hilt before the stock market crashed, when everybody's like, stock market's horrible, we'd be looking at each other like, dude, don't tell them you're getting a 15% yield on your money. Just throwing money. Like, what hasn't gone up in 20 years? Yeah, horrible that I keep getting 15% returns without the stocks going up.
Yeah, I don't know if I'll be able to retire, man. I mean, I got these stocks at such a cheap price, and they don't go up all the time. I don't know what to do. I was actually thinking, if interest rates really spike up and treasuries go up, you can actually go directly buy treasuries. So you don't have to worry about market fluctuations. So like if they're paying like a 6, 7, 8% yield, just directly buy a couple treasury bonds. And then you're getting 8% for the next, 10, 15, 20 years, however long the bond is.
how would you like to have locked in rates in 1980 on bonds?
Dude, we're thinking like the mid-teens.
They were like 12%.
Yeah, and that doesn't mean by bond funds because they'll cycle out and they'll cycle into lower rates. But yeah, man, if you actually went and bought individual bonds and they were paying 15, 20%, holy crap, you could retire right then. You probably outperform the stock market, you know?
Well, dude, if the rates rise, which eventually they have to, I don't know how the Fed's going to get around that. If it goes to 6%, this is what I told John when he was asking me about bonds. I'm like, I'm not loaning Uncle Sam money unless he's paying me at least 6% interest. And I'm glad you did the video today because I explained this to somebody. I'm like, it's called the risk-free rate of return. And that's what you can get by buying government-backed securities. But it's not risk-free. Governments can and do default. Basically, the United States defaulted on its debt when it went off the gold standard and kept the gold. Because the gold used to be, it was like, hey, the dollar is good as gold. Let us hold your gold. We went off the dollar standard and the world's like, hey, can we get our gold back? And we're like, yeah, no. That's not going to happen.
You know, it's just funny to think back to the gold standard. It's like, okay, your dollar used to be backed by gold, but what is gold? It's a shiny rock. Like, how does that make the dollar more worthy by having a shiny rock as its backing? Like, it doesn't make any sense to me.
All currency is just backed by human beings saying that this is what we trade. Even gold. Gold, ultimately, I don't think owning gold mining stocks is a bad thing, just like I don't think owning copper mining stocks are a bad thing either, because they both have utilities in the world. We need gold in our processors and in our computers. But I mean, really, honestly, seashells. The U.S. dollar is backed by seashells, and we just all agree, oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people don't like fiat, but I personally am not against it. I mean, I think it gives us a lot more flexibility to take actions during downturns, you know, and it helps us manipulate the money supply as opposed to having we can only have $25 per ounce of gold. That's super limiting, you know, because you have to find more shiny rocks to change your money supply, which isn't exactly the easiest thing to do. And then if you get a bunch of gold come in, like maybe let's say you find a gold mine, well, now we have to make more money because there's more gold. It's just stupid. Like, I think fiat's a better system.
I don't necessarily disagree with you, but fiat's the currency of war. That's the only problem with it.
It's the currency
because
of
you can just print war. Because that's always what happens during any wars. The currency becomes fiat. Civil War, World War I, World War II, all nations will go off.
And they even had the gold standard, and even then, they still printed money. So it's not like the gold standard is going to stop you from printing money. Like, it's just so stupid. I have no idea why people want to invest in a shiny rock. It makes no sense.
Peter Schiff is really smart, and he's right about a lot of things. But in my opinion, he's wrong about gold. Like, I think that's how he makes his money. But I honestly think he started his company with a belief in gold. Okay, that's fine. That's your opinion. I just don't happen to agree with you. To me, I would like to be more in commodities, but I would rather be the guy selling the shovel than actually going out and mining the gold. So, commodities aren't a bad thing to be in. They rise and fall too, but just own the company and not the actual commodity.
Yeah, and you can own the company for an index fund. I mean, if you buy VT, you're exposed to every gold mining company in the world. So why not just do that?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and that's valid too. That's this is why ultimately I think you're right. If you're going to own one ETF or index fund, that it should be VT or a total world stock market, is because a lot of the YouTubers out there are talking about how Warren Buffett said that diversity is for the ignorant. Yet Warren Buffett is extremely diversified. And, I tell people, I go, yeah, That's exactly right. I'm diversified because I'm ignorant. I'm ignorant of things I don't know. Anything can happen. Why would I couldn't have known about Enron and that they were cooking the books. And even if I had checked the balance sheets online, they had cooked the books.
Yeah.
You needed forensic accountants to go in there and be like, do whatever witchery or voodoo that forensic accountants do to figure this stuff out. But, I felt bad for the people in the company because they weren't taught basic education, because over the years I was working for them and they were like, Enron's collapsing. I just lost my entire retirement. Not me. I put all that money in the Vanguard Total World Market. I'm fine. I just sold Enron. I didn't really want to own the company. So,
yeah, if I hear anybody has stock options, I'm like, exercise them and sell them as soon as you possibly can, and then go buy a Total World Stock Market Index. Because you don't want all your money tied up in your freaking company, one company, and then if it goes bust, you're screwed.
Yeah, companies rise and fall. Look at GE. At one point, GE was a wonderful stock to own. Now it's shite.
Yeah, maybe it'll be a good stock in the future, but you just don't know. I mean, it's just, I don't get people. I think they think they're smarter than they actually are, and they think they're geniuses because they watch a couple of YouTube videos and read a couple of articles, and they glance at the income statement. But it takes a lot more than that. And part of it's luck. I mean, sometimes there's just stuff you can't control.
Well, this is one thing. This is another reason why I know Jeremy doesn't know what he's talking about. He always talks about the analyst predictions. And I'm like, you know what analyst predictions are? Predictions.
Yeah, because you have to guess the future. Nobody knows the future. It's as simple as that. And I mean, like, all investing is guessing in the future, but I'm guessing the entire world is going to be, more productive and we're going to have better technology and, just be larger in the next 20 or 30 years. And I think that's a pretty good guess, as opposed to, I think this one company is going to keep going to the moon, even though I have no idea what competitors are going to arise. Like, it's just a joke. I hate these people.
Well, this is something that people don't pay attention to too. If you look at the R&D that legacy automakers are throwing at advancements in the electric vehicle space, including autonomous driving, it dwarfs anything Tesla's doing. Okay, you have Elon Musk because Elon Musk, and they have a first mover advantage. But if you're investing $1 billion in R&D every year, and another company is investing in $7 billion in R&D every year, they're going to catch you, and they're going to catch you fast. A lot faster than you can even anticipate.
Yeah, and plus, like, a big problem I see with Tesla too is just some of their cars are freaking expensive. Like, if you're like a lower middle class or just even a middle class person and you're kind of frugal, you're not going to buy a new electric car. You're going to keep driving gasoline, which, like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to drive gasoline cars forever probably because I don't want to pay 25, 30 grand for a fancy electric car. I'm not doing it.
You know when I'll buy an electric car? Probably when they drop to like 5 Gs. And I'll be like, hey, everybody, look at my new to me Tesla. It's got 500,000 miles on it. I don't give a fuck. You know what I mean?
Yeah, if they have electric cars and, like, you can buy them used and they'll still last a while, okay, maybe I'll consider it. But I think gasoline-powered cars are going to be way cheaper because there might be a lot less demand. So it's like, okay, I'll just keep driving gasoline. You can call me an evil polluter, but, hey, I'm wealthy.
That electric vehicle pollutes more than your ICE, your internal combustion engine. Anyways, they're getting all their power from coal-fired plants.
No, it's all solar power, Jay. Okay, they put the panels on the top, they charge it, and that's it. That's all you got to do.
Dude, I decided what I'm going to do. At the end of the year, drop about 8 to 10 on a commuter car. Then I'm going to go out and I'm going to drop probably like 2 Gs on an old used pickup. And then just because that's what I want to drive. Eventually I want to drive what I want to drive. I'll drive that car into the ground and put slow upgrades over the years into the little pickup truck that I buy.
Yeah, honestly, man, like me and my wife, we both have one like compact car each. And even though we're having kids, like, I still think I'm just going to keep those 2 cars until one of them gets, like, dangerous. Like, once it starts getting dangerously old, I'll switch it out. But for now, I'm just going to suck it up and just continue to drive what I have because the last thing I want to put my money in is a freaking car because it's just such a waste.
Well, you also have a problem I don't have, and that is where you live. You got salt on the road, which destroys cars much more rapidly. I don't really have that problem here because I don't go to the beach because I'm pale. I'm of Welsh and Scottish descent. I don't do well in the sun. That's why you'll never see me laying out on the beach, maybe for like 10 minutes. But, it's like if you live in Arizona and, I still wouldn't understand why you ever bought a new vehicle. Like, well, the engine went. Okay, well, it's cheaper to replace it. There's nothing wrong with the car. There's no rust anywhere. Nothing deteriorates out here.
Yeah, that's a good deal. I mean, my car's been chugging along fine, but I'm always paranoid something's going to happen to it. It's only got like 50,000 miles, so I'm hoping it lasts another like 6, 7, 8 years, but we'll see. We'll see what happens.
You'll get 6, 7, 8 years out of it. It's just in Florida, especially if you live in the interior, right? You could buy a vehicle and drive it for 30 years.
Yeah, if you maintain it, I don't see why not, especially if your commute's small. And then just think about how enormously wealthy you're going to be by not putting a dime into a freaking car. Like $5 grand, 10 grand, 15 grand. That's so much money. That's like 2 Roths right there you can max. So
yeah, well, I mean, look at all the people that you work with that pull in with their Mercedes Benz. And you're like, dude, you don't make enough money to drive a Mercedes Benz. I make $100,000 a year. Yeah, you don't make enough money to drive a new Mercedes Benz. That's how that works. Your car shouldn't be your yearly salary under any circumstances.
Yeah, it's all cars and it's all houses, and here it's a lot of boats too. I've noticed there's a lot of boats, and they have to get a big truck to haul their boats around. So I'm sure they're making good money, whatever they're doing. But then it's like, okay, you're literally spending everything you make and you're bankrupting your future for a freaking boat that you go on probably like 5 times a year. Just rent a boat. If you want to go on a boat, just rent the boat. That's all you got to do. But
dude, if I had a hobby of fishing, right? Let's say I like to get out on the lake. And let's just say I'm a guy who works 40 hours a week and I got a couple of kids. So I'm going to get out on the lake fishing 6 times over the summer. How much is that going to cost you to rent a boat? And a guy will literally be like, hey man, you going out fishing? Like, yeah. Let me give you $200 and I'll go out there with you. You spend $800 on your hobby over the course of the summer versus $25,000 because you went to Cabela's. Actually, you spent more because you put it on your credit card and you financed it like a moron.
No, I went to what is that place called? It's that big outdoorsy store. I forgot what the name is called. But I went there and they had boats that had 20-year financing. And they were like, it was between $300 or $500 a month. Could you imagine paying $500 a month for 20 freaking years just for a boat? And then you have to get a truck to haul it around on top of that. So that's probably an additional $700-800.
Dude, the only time you would ever see me get a boat is if I was some super baller dude and I owned the lake. like yeah, but I own the lake, so I'm out here fishing every day, so I needed a boat. That's it, and it would just be docked up there.
I always wonder, like, if I was super rich, what would I invest in or what would I buy? And I literally don't think I would do anything differently than I do now. I think I would still drive a crappy car, maybe like a slightly nicer car if I was super wealthy. And then I would, I don't think I would buy a boat. And I'd probably just put all my money in VT, just like I do right now,
I wouldn't. The only thing I would do slightly different though, most of my money would be in low-cost index funds. But I would have a lot of money in. So if I won like $100 million, I'd make an honest assessment. All right, how much do I want a year to live on? Talk to accountants and lawyers. Like, I'm a pretty laid-back dude who doesn't need a private jet. $400,000 a year is a good income for me that I want to collect. That allows me, seriously, I probably wouldn't even spend that most years. I'll be honest with you, I would get a really nice car at that point, like probably a GTR, and to probably upgrade my house, but that's about it. Tax-free muni bonds.
Yeah, if you have a very high tax rate, that's a decent place to put your money for your bond portion of your portfolio.
Yeah, that's what I would do there. It's the odds of you. It would still be well diversified, mostly in index funds, but I'm gonna take 10, $20 million tax free. I don't, give that off to my accountant. I'm just gonna go do whatever it is I want to do. I mean, I don't even if I had the money, I just don't see the point in buying a giant house. Now, I might have a house about the size that I have now with a lot of land, but that's just because I want to be left alone. But still, I don't want to hire maids and stuff to go around my house cleaning because it would just annoy me.
Yeah, so if you don't do that, or if you don't hire a maid, you have to clean it, which is why even if I had a ton of money or zillions of dollars, I don't want maids in my house. I don't want to have to wait for somebody to clean. And I know I'll be tempted to clean my own house, and I don't want to waste my time doing that. So I don't think I would get a much bigger place than I have right now. Or probably I would just stay here, to be honest.
No, I would keep this place as a place for like friends and family to crash. I'd probably just move in my buddy on the condition that he maintained the house. He could live here for free because it would need a caretaker. But that's what you mow the lawn, you do all that. I pay all the bills, but I would want more land.
Yeah, I'm like super anti-land. Like I don't want to cut grass. I don't want to maintain anything. I want as much free time as possible to do like YouTube or read books or whatever.
If I have that kind of jack, I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem with paying somebody to maintain a lawn. But basically, it would just be like, I want a spot to just go out in the wilderness, bring some buddies. We'll go out. We'll shoot some guns, hang out, talk. Nobody's getting mad at me.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, like my ideal retirement is to like just travel as much as possible because that's what I kind of enjoy is like going to new places. I'm not really into like, oh, I need this property or this, special item. I just want to go and like, okay, I'm going to go to the beach for 2 weeks. Maybe I'll come home and rest for a week. Maybe I'll go visit Japan, back and forth, back and forth.
Hey, I got to take a piss.
Me too. I'll be right back.
All right.
Old Man River.
I'll be over there in a second, dude.
What are you doing? The dishes right now?
Nah, I'm eating kombucha. Another glass of it.
Putting away your crack pipes.
Meth.
Who's watching us right now? Who's our viewers? Send us a message. We want to hear from you.
If it's an Aztec dude, he needs to come on here.
Oh yeah, he never emailed me, so I guess he doesn't want to meet me in person.
It's terrible.
He betrayed me for Aaron Clary. That's his boy.
Yeah, but that dude's up there balling in South Dakota.
Have you been watching his videos?
No, dude, I haven't. Like, I've been okay. So I have one of those obsessive personalities. I really want to buy a lever gun at the end of the year. So I've been doing research into which one I want to get. So that's like my reward is meeting metrics. I just have to maintain discipline because otherwise I'd be like, I'm going to go get a new 45 today. But So I've been just watching videos. I think I'm going to get Henry lever action because they just put in side gates. I love lever action rifles.
It's all about that bolt action, man. Come on, get a Mosin Nagant or a Mauser 98K, the German rifle. That's actually my favorite rifle. So
is it?
Mauser.
Because I was thinking about getting a Winchester 70, but then I found out they aren't making them in America anymore. And I was like, maybe I could just find one on the secondhand market.
I'm sure you could. There's probably tons of like gun websites. You know, I mean, I'm not a big gun buyer, but I'm sure there's tons of ways to get whatever you want.
When all is said and done, I'll have probably 20 guns. That'll cover
one for each finger and toe, you know?
Yeah. That'll cover everything I want to shoot, or not every. That'll cover every type of weapon that I want to shoot at the range. And other than that, you know, I'm not going to be one of those guys who's like, "Hey, Chris, I just bought my 15th AR-15." I don't. How many? Yeah, you need one in normal caliber, 223, and you need a pistol one in 223. Go to the range, have fun. The pistol one's for home defense. You need a shotgun.
The only guns that I like are machine guns. Like, if I could actually get, like, a 240, like, yeah, I'd be shooting that thing all the freaking time. I'm just not big into rifles. They're just kind of like, pew, 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 pew. But a machine gun, you feel the power, you know, laying down lead. I really love machine guns. But that's the thing that excites me.
I get that, but have you ever shot a lever-action rifle?
No.
There's just something about it, dude. Just shooting one of those. It's so much fun. I don't know anybody who doesn't have a smile on their face when they're at the range shooting a lever-action rifle.
Yeah. You talk like Civil War rifles, like, you know, little cavalry carbines or whatever, or like more modern versions.
I'm getting the 1894, probably in 44 Magnum. And I'm getting a Henry because it's just beautiful rifle. That'll be a range queen, safe queen, and then I'm gonna get a Marlin 1894, probably in 357 Magnum, because that'll just be fun to shoot too. I don't know what combination I'm gonna do, but I'm gonna do some things to make it like more modern, and that's, I mean, pretty much it. I'm not one of those guys who needs. I got to have 57 AK-47s of different variants. I'm not one of those.
I mean, really, the only thing I really want that's a rifle is an AR-15, because that's the one rifle I actually know how to like completely disassemble, shoot. Like, I know it inside and out. So that's the one thing I've always kind of thought about buying. But then I'm like, do I really want to spend $1,000 when I could just, you know, buy more VT? That's what always stops me from taking the plunge. But maybe one day I'll get one.
Yeah, man. I mean, if it's really not that something you want, throw $30 in a fun account. Come back in a couple of years, you'll have enough money. Like, yeah, okay, there's the AR-15 money. I didn't run out to buy it. But yeah, that was actually somebody got mad at me because I was explaining to him how the AR-15 is not a weapon of war and the Winchester 70 is. And they're like, how do you swear that? And I go, well, when I was in basic training, when we went to the range, I didn't go there with an AR-15. I went there with an M16. And Carlos Hathcock during Vietnam, White Feather, used a Winchester 70 to kill the North Vietnamese sniper. Bolt action is a weapon of war. The AR-15 is not, no matter how much that makes you cry.
I mean, theoretically, you can make any weapon a weapon of war, but, you know, if you're talking about weapons that were actually used in combat, yeah, some are standard issue and some are not.
Yeah, I mean, could you use the AR-15 in war? Yeah, absolutely you could. But to say that this is a weapon of war and this bolt-action rifle over here isn't a weapon of war is just, you're just either dumb, ignorant, or being disingenuous.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people just have like gut reactions to guns. Like, either they're terrified of them, you know, and they just automatically react to any, you know, or they support any kind of gun censorship. But, you know, there's other people that actually have shot guns and, you know, actually know the difference between them.
Well, yeah, that's what I say to people, and they get mad at me. Explain to me how me registering my weapons, which you'll come back later for them to try and take them, or disarming me actually prevents a mass shooting. I have no desire to do a mass shooting or hurt anybody. So even if you broke in my house, I joke about I'd take you out over my PlayStation, but even if you broke in my house, I'd put my bed in front of my door, call the cops. I'd be terrified, and I'd just beg the dude to please don't make me, have to shoot you. So that's why it's yeah, there's psychos out there, and they're going to get their hands on guns anyways. You're not going to stop 3D printing, which, by the way, is going to be a bubble again very soon. And so is I meant to do a video on it. Anti-aging is going to be the next buzzword in a couple of years.
I remember you keep talking about it. Dude, you should buy some of the stocks. I don't know if you have already, but just to ride that pump. And then when you get your 2X or whatever, just sell out and go buy another gun.
I probably should. But I just know with all the CRISPR stuff, it's beginning. And I know Aubrey DeGray was on Rogan's podcast, and he said in 2023, 2024, you're going to hear a lot of news about advancements that we're making in anti-aging. And people are going to rush into these companies, and that's going to be the new EV plant-based food that everybody's rushing in. And I'm predicting it 2 to 3 years ahead of time.
Dude, that's all you need. I would consider buying some of those stocks just for fun. What's it going to hurt if you chuck a couple $100s into them? You'd be surprised what you might make.
Oh, you could make $1 million doing that.
Do it. And then tell me what stocks you get. Maybe I'll put 100 in each just for fun.
All right. I'll look into it. How much time I'm going to devote to this, because this is gambling. I don't know, but I'll start looking into it. But yeah, dude, it's the thing that I've learned, man. It's just even before I started investing, it's happening all over again, man. The buzzwords.
It's a never-ending cycle. It's every generation. There's something new that it gets hyped up. People go crazy. Everybody's making money. Everybody thinks you're dumb if you're not investing. Then it crashes. Then that's the time to actually buy, because then you're getting it on at a discount and it's probably a little bit more developed. But it just happens over and over again. And it's exactly what's happening now. It's common sense.
Well, it's too. And it's just these YouTubers infuriate me. Because like I said, I actually care about your retirement. The less losers, and by losers, the more people that we have in retirement that have a retirement, the better off the entire economy is. Everybody's better off. Restaurants.
Yeah, if nobody's saved up, we're going to have to just keep raising taxes to fund Social Security, which is just kind of this vicious cycle of nobody has money, so we have to tax the smaller, working population, and it just gets higher and higher and more burdensome, and the economy gets negatively affected by that. Whereas if everybody just had freaking stocks, Well,
we talked about this. The rich have the best accountants. So we were taxing the wealthy at 90% in the 1950s. Yeah, and they weren't paying 90%.
Yeah, because you can tax somebody you could give them any marginal tax rate you want, but you can tinker with the tax code to make their deductions so good that the actual taxable income is almost nothing. So no matter what rate they put it at, they're always going to make adjustments to make sure that people don't pay exorbitant amount of tax. It's always going to be that way. It's all virtue signaling. Oh, we're going to raise the corporate tax rate to 28%. Wow. Yeah, and then they'll probably change some deductions, so nobody pays more tax anyway. It's all a scam.
And honestly, at some level, I want them to raise taxes on the corporations, and they're like, well, why? I'm like, because it's going to slow it down the growth, man, and I'm going to be able to buy more. It's just growing. Everything's too expensive. I need something to come along. I need discounts.
Yeah, especially if inflation picks up or interest rates go up and stocks crash. Well, they're not going to be up forever. That's the time to buy.
Well, with the high dividend stock, with the VYM stock, I told you I only buy that stock when it's it's paying about a 4% dividend. So it has to drop to about the 60s to get there. The 60s or low 70s. I'm not buying it right now. PEY is one too that I put about $1,500 in when it was about $11 or $12. It's up to 20. I'm not buying anything. I'm letting the dividends work. If it comes along and it starts crashing again and it goes down to like 11 or 12 bucks, then yeah, I'm throwing extra money at it.
Yeah, like honestly, dividend rates are a pretty good indicator of whether a stock's in favor or not. Like if it has extremely high dividend, that usually means that it's just sold off significantly. So if you're looking for plays where you want to, buy a couple stocks that are good companies, kind of look for high dividends and be like, oh, well, maybe there's something that happened, and then now's a good time to buy because people are overly pessimistic.
But we also have to explain, if you get a ridiculous dividend in today's market of 15%, like
you need to be careful.
You better do a lot of homework. We're talking about a 4 or 5% dividend.
Yeah, that's a good distinction. Like you can't just it's got a high dividend, so that means I can buy it. Like of course you have to do the due diligence. But yeah, like it doesn't like AMC have a dividend and it's like super high. One of them has a dividend
because it's a straight trash company.
Yeah.
These guys on YouTube bets, I don't understand if they think it's funny to lose their retirement or they actually think they're going to the moon.
It's a combination of both. There's a bunch of idiots that are just having fun, throwing in a couple shares. And then there's a bunch that
there's dudes with $1 million in it. And I don't understand how you could acquire $1 million and be that dumb to put it into a single stock or two stocks. I have all the confidence in the world in Apple. It's not going to be the one stock in my portfolio.
Yeah, that guy that has like 22 million in AMC, or is it GameStop?
GameStop.
Like, oh my, sell that, you idiot. God, you would be set for life if you did that. But let's go to the moon. I'm going to fight the hedge funds. Even though the hedge funds already closed their short positions, but okay,
Well, Michael, people talk about Michael Burry. Well, Michael Burry's portfolio, he owns Bed Bath & Beyond. And I go, yeah, and now I question his intelligence. I don't care if he called the 2008 financial crisis. I called the 2008 financial housing crisis, and I wasn't even investing at the time. I literally said to a family member, said to my mom and my stepdad that they should buy a condo in Florida, and that this was 2005. They should buy a condo in Florida because the housing market is jumping so quickly. And I said, yeah, but you want to know why? I'm like, all the speculators have moved on and made their money. And then I said, there's a whole bunch of people getting mortgages that can't afford to pay the mortgages. The entire housing market is going to collapse. He doesn't have a lot of respect for me. So he goes, nah, Jay, that's not what's going to happen. I go, okay, keep buying up property in Florida, homie.
It's going to go forever. What are you talking about? Come on.
2008, I'm sitting there looking at my mom when I was home, just like, remember when I called the housing market crash? Wasn't even investing at the time. I just used deductive reasoning and a barely functioning half-retarded brain to figure that out.
Yeah, if you're not prone to like getting excited and you're not a gambler, it's easy to see when bubbles arise. I mean, you just look and you see like overly speculative investing and you see relaxed lending standards. I mean, if you see that combination, yeah, it's a bubble. And it doesn't matter if it goes up the next couple of months or years. It will pop one day because there are no fundamentals.
And that's the thing. Well, I'm making money now. Yeah, but you can't predict with any accuracy when the bubble pops. When the bubble pops, and you're left holding the bag, trying to get your money out of it as the stock goes to zero. And I'm sitting back there going, told you not to put 22% of your portfolio into Tesla, Jeremy.
Well, I don't care if he goes bankrupt. I would laugh, man. Dude, if there was a big correction and he has all those meme stocks or those speculative disruptor stocks, he's going to get freaking crushed whenever, like he's going to get obliterated if there's ever a big bubble pop.
Oh, okay. I got called an idiot because I have no confidence in Facebook. Dude's not looking at what I'm looking at. Well, the revenue is growing this over this over this. They have no moat. Yes, they do. No, they don't. There's nothing stopping all the Facebook users from abandoning Facebook tomorrow and going over to Parler. I don't think that's a realistic. I don't think that's a realistic possibility, but it is a possibility. So he's got some winners in there. But if you go and you look at his portfolio, this public portfolio, it's straight garbage.
Whose portfolio is this?
Jeremy's. 22% of his public account is in Tesla.
Oh, he has a. Oh, I didn't know he had a public portfolio. I need to go subscribe to that and see what hot stocks he's been buying.
Planeteer, he's buying that now.
What is it?
Planeteer.
Oh, Palantir. That's the other meme stock.
Yeah. Oh, it was backed by Peter Thiel, and he named it after the object in the crystal ball in Lord of the Rings. Okay. And it collects all your data. Okay. I'm calling this right now. There's going to be a move towards us owning our data. People will wake up to the value of it.
Well, that you should probably short Palantir then, just like the hedge funds. Maybe you'll make some big money.
Gambling.
Yeah. Hey, it's just about it. I can't wait for the bubble to pop. I'm sitting with anticipation. I'm like, please. But it might be a while. It might be a long, long while.
We're in for a long haul. I don't think anything's going to happen this year with the sloshing. Bubbles are filled by hype and what's going to happen when the economy fully opens. I mean, I'm talking about the economy in, non-commie states is already up and running, but the commie states are going to start opening up soon. The world is going to open up. And I think you're going to see a spike in stocks for a while, and then people are going to come to the realization that everything is overvalued. Not everything. Most things are overvalued.
Well, because a lot of the pricing now is factoring in that, the economy is going to open up strong. And if there's any kind of disappointment or, interest rates go up higher than they expected, there's going to be some kind of decline.
Well, yeah. And that's why, Alan Greenspan, people talk about him like, oh, the roaring economy of the 80s or the 90s. And I was like, that's mostly fueled by the Fed lowering interest rates. Which it really isn't good for you as the average investor anyways. You are better off with higher interest rates.
Low rates are dangerous because that's what leads to speculation because people can get a lot more money and they don't have to pay any interest. And that's what leads to rampant, buying on margin and people taking on projects that, aren't really profitable, but the money's so cheap that they just can't resist using it. That's what always leads to the next bubble. And
also, whether you're investing or not, so a bank's paying you a 6% interest rate. And stocks are paying you a 5% interest rate, but stocks aren't running rampant because of low interest rates. Well, your timeline is 30 years later. You're picking up more for your later income by having these cheaper stocks and this higher dividend.
I mean, the way I keep it so simple is okay, I want to own a certain percentage of the world. And every time I buy more VT, I own a slightly higher percentage of every company in the world. And eventually, whether the market's up or down, you're going to get to a point where you own enough of every company in the world to live off of them without working. It's as simple as that. But people can't seem to grasp that. It's like, oh, well, how much has it gone on the last year? How much? What are the gains going on in the next year? No, you want to own as much as the world as possible. That's all it is. Nothing complex.
If you look at it, growth index funds are good as long as they're in your tax advantaged account because then you can sell them in there when you turn 59. You got that mega growth. But, I mean, what do you have to do once you sell them later on? Now you got to pay tax on that income, where if you're just collecting the dividends, it's a lot lower amount of money that you're paying in taxes.
I mean, I think the best possible way is you want to max out your, if you want to live off dividends, the best way, you max out your tax advantage accounts. As soon as you hit 59.5, you can roll them all over into high dividend stocks. Mm-hmm. And even those dividends are tax free, and you just take them out of your Roth tax free. So you're literally paying no tax.
That's what I ultimately want to do. if it, like that's ultimately what I like. What my plan is to just own. I'm going to start adding VT, but just how my portfolio is now in Vanguard, grow it, and then buy high dividend paying ETFs or index funds in there, like VYM and PEY, maybe some other ones just mixed in, and then just augment whatever. Like I'm retiring at 67 and I've just got Social Security, but I have a $1.5 million portfolio. Good. Just collect your dividends. You're good to go, man. You're gonna be living fine. If you paid off your house, whatever Social Security is a month, if it's $1,500, you paid off your car, you're in a good spot.
That's the key. You want to have your house paid off by the time you retire. If you have that, and if you're a minimalist your whole life, you're going to be a minimalist in retirement too. So you can live off next to nothing, especially if you have a Social Security coming in on top of that. You would have nothing to worry about.
Well, that's what I thought. I thought about this. I was just thinking in my head. If I won the lottery, let's just say I won $1 million, bring home like $600,000. Even though it's probably more advantageous to pay off my mortgage as slow as possible, I would really consider just being like, you know what? I'm just going to pay this bitch off, because with where I'm at now, if this is the house this house was paid off, I don't know that I would be going to work anymore.
I mean, either way, you wouldn't have to work. Like you could just set up you could do your sustainable withdrawal rate, keep paying your mortgage. And then you probably have, 20 grand left over every month after you make your mortgage payment. So either way, it doesn't really matter. You can pay off your mortgage or you don't, but the difference isn't really that much, especially if you have a massive portfolio that you're living off of. So that's more of a personal preference thing. But I get both sides of the argument, and maybe I would pay off my house too. I don't know, but as of right now, I'm not a big fan of it. But
well, no, because you look at. Any way you look at it, my mortgage is 2.87%. I'm still getting more. Even if the stock market returns 3% for the next decade, I'm still getting more out of stocks. And even though that might not sound like a lot, it adds up over time.
Yeah, and plus on top of that, if you're paying off your mortgage, all that money is just locked into one house, in one city, in one state, in one country. I mean, I'd rather own every company in the world, put as much possible money as I can into owning every company in the world versus buying a freaking house, one house, Yeah. So, but there's nothing wrong with paying off your mortgage. It's just I think there's better ways to go about it. And what's really funny is I made that Dave Ramsey video, and every week or month somebody comments, well, I don't like taking advice from broke people, which means they're literally copying exactly what Dave says, because Dave's always like, oh, every rich person I've ever talked to has paid off their house. And if they didn't do that, they weren't going to be a millionaire. And to me, that's just the dumbest thing, because I know it's not true. But his followers are so brainwashed that they're like, yeah, there's no possible way you can be rich without paying off your house. Well, I'm like, hey, you want to see my 401k? You want to see my mortgage? My house isn't paid off.
Well, do you explain to them that you're not broke and you live way below your means, that you live by your broke, you live like you're broke and you actually make a good amount of money? Do you explain that to them? Or
no, because if they've watched the video and they're still reacting like that, there's no point. I'm just they're like, oh, I don't listen to broke people. And I'm like, okay, well, I mean, you found the right channel, then you might as well subscribe. And that's all I say. But I don't try to get into a huge argument about it, because they're so brainwashed and indoctrinated into the Dave Ramsey cult that they can't see the possibility that, yeah, you can be a millionaire because you're buying stocks as opposed to paying off your mortgage quickly. But
yeah, here's where it makes sense to pay off your mortgage as quickly as possible. You have an 8% interest rate on your house.
100, yeah, absolutely. I would totally support.
Then I would look at anybody and be like, no, dude, I would put what you can away, but most of your money needs to be devoted to just paying down this house. But I mean, too, yeah, it's the thing I've noticed with Jeremy is that, and it's the thing I've noticed about Tesla, where I have to tell people, I'm like, you are arguing from emotion, not facts. You're arguing because you're caught up in this. I'm a huge fan of Rogan. And if Rogan said something that's incorrect and he's doing something that's incorrect, I'm going to tell you that's incorrect. If Rogan started teaching stocks tomorrow, which he doesn't have a clue about anyways, I would say, yeah, Rogan doesn't know what he's talking about. I like the guy, but he's wrong. And so, like, I get attacked. They're like, oh, what's your portfolio? Jeremy's got more money than you do. I go, yeah, I don't have a massive YouTube channel, and I don't run a stock market group where I steal from my fans. That's why I have less money than him. But if he didn't somehow get lucky and get a bunch of people to listen to a half-retarded guy on investing, he would still not have anywhere remotely near the amount of money in his portfolio that I do. And I made a lot of mistakes, and I admit it. Well, he had 250,000 at 25. No, he didn't. Did a video proving how that's impossible.
Yeah, dude, I made I was married to a captain. I was a captain on active duty, and I was super frugal, and I wasn't even close to that amount of money at 25. Like, there's no way. If you're just some punk civilian with a pissant job, there is no way that you save $250,000 by 25, unless you make incredible money.
We tried to say that I went and looked, and his greatest gain would have been about 30%. Excellent return. Doesn't get you to 250,000. When I did the actual math on an investment calculator, him and his wife would have had to been investing more than they both made combined. Because really, when you listen to him talk, he didn't really start investing until putting a lot of money until he was like almost 23. So he wants you to believe that on a $50,000 a year salary, he somehow had a $250,000 portfolio by the age of 25.
There's no way. Because you need the time to compound the money. You know, even if you're throwing in a lot of money, you need to wait and give it time to grow, which it's garbage.
I could buy it if he had made a YouTube channel and he said, listen, here's what happened. I got really lucky when I didn't know what I was doing on penny stocks. And then he said, and now I'm out to keep this money and learn as much as I can, and I'll teach you on my journey. I'd still have a problem with him charging $15,000 per person based on somebody's ignorance. But I wouldn't be sitting here just saying all the terrible things that I say about him because the dude's a snake oil salesman.
People love it, though. People love it.
I don't understand how you could listen to a charisma vacuum like Ryan Scribner also. He did a video with him and Nate O'Brien, and I'm like, these have to be the two least charismatic human beings I've ever seen communicate in my entire life.
Hello, mate. Hello, Ryan. How was your day? Very good. How was yours?
Yeah, dude. I'm like, I don't think anything interesting has ever come out of these two mouths. Like, you know, when you're in the military and you're sitting there at the bar with your buddies on like a Saturday and just something ridiculous comes out of one of their mouths, you know that has never happened with those two.
Yeah, have you? Are you still subscribed to Ryan Scribner? I actually unsubscribed a while back, so I haven't seen any of his new content. Is it still crap?
It's still terrible. It's still a 26-year-old with $1 million wearing mom jeans.
I need to resubscribe and watch some of his stuff. It's been a while.
It's like, you and I don't know if we'll ever blow up, but it's like we're actually teaching you quality advice. Buy index funds. Nobody's going to beat, maybe Sven Carlin is going to beat the market, but that dude has to put in hours of research.
I mean, honestly, the only way I see anybody or any of us blowing up is just like putting money into advertising. That's the only way, because you have to get out there. If nobody can find you because of the algorithm, it doesn't matter how smart you are. Yeah. Nobody's going to find you, and you're always going to be small. So to me, it's worth investing a little bit of money. Like, hey, YouTuber, tell people about my channel. And that's a much better way to get growth.
I'm going to start doing that. Who's the guy you said that'll give me a shout out for like $75?
Aaron Clary.
All right. Well, all right. I'll do that. I have to get back on my discipline, but I've just been fucking exhausted for the past 2 weeks when I came home from work.
Yeah, I've been tired too, man. Like I've been tutoring like crazy. I have school, I work. I mean, it's just a lot of stuff. So it's hard to like really put in a lot of time in YouTube.
And like when you start to get tired, the muse leaves.
Yeah,
I had an idea to talk about. Because I mean, nobody, even if you're making a financial video and you can, if you can rant for 10 minutes on a subject like you can, just off the top of your head, you're a creative person. And once you get tired, man, the muse is gone. Like when I'm well rested, like today, I was well rested. I wrote down something that I think is going to work out. Like when I was well rested, I had this thought the other day. I got to test out on stage. I'm like, ever sit around and think about one of your childhood friends and your childhood friends' pets, and then think of that cat, and then just go, yeah, that cat's definitely dead. It was 30 years ago. But yeah, what was the idea? But during the week, man, my muse has been gone. I'm like, where the fuck is my muse? And then I realize, I'm like, oh, I'm tired.
Yeah, and I'm double.
I'll tell you this joke offline because it has the potential to get us canceled.
Yeah, we can do that offline. But like, I'm especially screwed like once I have a kid and I'm working, because then I'm going to be extra tired. So if I want to do YouTube, something's going to have to give, and it's probably going to be me cutting back tutoring a little bit, maybe, because if I don't do that, like YouTube's going to be tough.
Well, dude, I've got an idea. I've been talking to a local rapper. He's going to help me. He's going to help me create a financial battle rap where we talk about like regression to the mean and stuff. And we're just actually talking about things from finance. And he's looking at me. He goes, dude, that is so unique that might actually work.
You should do it. You should just like sing a rap, like just do a live video unannounced and just like spit your game, and then.
No, but he's an actual real rapper, and he's really not bad. He's really pretty good. He has this hilarious song called Your Uber's Outside. It's about a girl trying to stay after they hook up. And he's talking through the whole thing. He's like, girl, your Uber's outside. Uber's outside. It's a hilarious song, dude. So he told me.
You bought her an Uber?
I might try. Yeah, I might try to get him on because he wants to learn about investing.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
And so I'm just going to have to tell him, though, dude, you cannot get super baked like you do before you go up and perform, because we need you semi-cognizant. Like, even we'll bail when I start to get drunk, even though it's too early to start drinking. But yeah, he said he'd help me. He said he's down. He's like, and what I like about him is something he said it to me at the end. He goes, I'm only willing to put in as much effort as you're willing to put in. And I go, all right, you and I see eye to eye on things, because it's things I tell people. We're like, hey, man, I want to be on your podcast. Okay. I can't do it tonight because I decided to go do something else. Okay. Now you're just not going to be on my podcast.
No,
you're not serious.
Get mad about it. And maybe if you get big one day, they'll regret not coming on.
Oh, we're going to get big.
I'm already big, bro. See this?
Not me, dude. I'm shrinking.
Dude, I finally got back. I'm starting to lift again. It feels amazing. It's so much better than doing push-ups and pull-ups.
Too much tendonitis. I'm subsisting on a diet of 800 push-ups a day and some yoga.
Yeah,
not happy about it.
I'd be a very sad man if I couldn't lift anymore.
Dude, I'm not happy. Even with my injuries before, at least I could get that aggression out. I had back day, which basically consisted of chin-ups, where I would just go in the gym. I had worked back up to after the COVID thing and not working out. I'd worked that back up to 12 set chin-ups. And so I was feeling strong, and then pulled something in both my forearms, made it worse when I was leaving. Both of my hip muscles are ripped, and now I need surgery.
Jeez, man. Hey, well, God bless you. I would be incredibly depressed and sad if I couldn't work out.
Well, something's got to give here. I'm probably going to get an exercise bike in here.
You should try swimming, dude. Have you tried that? That's actually really easy on your muscles.
That's what my mom keeps telling me. She's like, you need to just get into the pool. And I could probably still lift in the pool. Throw a kettlebell in, dive down.
Like that's probably the bet, and it's great cardio. Like it kills me when I swim versus running. So if you want to get fit, and you can actually build your back up because you're swimming, you have to get all the strokes.
Well, dude, Laird Hamilton does that weird thing in the pool where I'm like, I wish I had discovered this from the beginning. I wouldn't be anywhere near as injured. Where you're like, he'll throw in an 8-pound kettlebell, and you got to dive to the bottom of a 12-foot pool, grab it, and swim back up.
Yeah, I had to do that for lifeguard training. It's pretty tough, and they make you like float with it too. It'll smoke you.
Yeah, dude. There's a reason why swimmers are just incredibly strong, and it's a low impact workout.
Yeah, it's the perfect. If you're older or you're in pain or whatever, it's the perfect thing to do. I would highly recommend it. I mean, I hate swimming because my eyes are super sensitive to chlorine. But if I wasn't such a lazy butt and I actually put goggles on, I wouldn't have that problem. But I would definitely recommend you check it out.
Yeah, there was something that I was doing for a while because I hurt my knee that really helped it. When I was living at this apartment complex, this girl looked at me like I was a madman. But I would go down and get into the water waist deep and run.
Whatever it takes. I mean, if you feel good about it, it's all that matters.
Dude, if you get in the pool and you want a killer workout and you don't feel like swimming, just get in the water waist deep and run. The first couple aren't that bad back and forth, but then you start getting worn down really fast.
It's probably like sprinting with a parachute,
Yeah, it's exactly like sprinting with a parachute, except you're in the water.
Yeah, that sucks.
Did you have to do that?
I've done that before for like PT a while back, and it was not fun, but it gets you in shape.
You weren't out. David Goggins is probably out there running right now with a parachute attached to his back.
Yeah, he's doing his 5th 10-miler today. He runs a 10-miler every 4 hours.
Dude,
freaking nut.
Dude, Marcus Luttrell is hilarious. He goes, when I was doing that cross veterans tour and David Goggins was running to every city, he goes, all the women would just ask when David was coming. And Marcus is like, he just comes running in with he's all caramel and he's got the abs and he's like the girls, that's all the women would ask, like, hey, when's David coming?
When's Strongman coming, guys? When's Strongman coming?
Dude,
I wish.
My body wouldn't. I couldn't work out like those guys do. Like my body would just break down. I wasn't gifted physically, but so it's like, working out. It's just what makes me so impressed about Goggins and like a guy like Cameron Haynes is how their bodies aren't just falling apart. Especially Cameron Haynes, who runs 10 miles a day and he's in his 50s.
Well, it's some of it's genetics. Like, I'm pretty naturally fit, but there's people like in the Army that I've known that were just like well above me. Like I thought I was like super fit and super fast, but there were guys that just blew me out of the water. So part of it is genetics. It's just how you're born.
Yeah, I started noticing my thyroid problems run in my family. And where I really started noticing it was when I turned 27. Before that, when I was in Germany, I was about 165 pounds. And my actual NCOIC, you would come up to me, he's like, Jason, you've really been impressing me with your runs lately. It's like you're blowing away almost everybody in the shop. It's like you're blowing away people in the squadron. And it was easy to me. Okay. And so I'm running on concrete. It was just easy to me. I could just go. Then about 27, something happened with my body where I was like, this just feels harder. I don't know what it is. I just don't have that spring in my step. So yeah, you're right. Some of it's genetic, like shitty genes.
I mean, for me, I just get like, I was super fast, kind of like you when I was younger. And then I've been getting steadily, like not fatter, but just like bigger and bigger as I age. So now, I mean, I used to be a super fast sprinter. I used to be really quick. Now I am not a fast runner. Like if my old self saw me now, I'd probably be embarrassed by how slow I am. But just
yeah, dude. If my 18-year-old self was like, wait, that you can't even catch your 13-year-old niece.
yeah, it's sad what happens when you get older. Like my fastest 5 mile ran at like sub 6:30 minute miles for 5 miles, which for me was pretty good. And now I look back and I'm like, there is no freaking way I could even come close to doing that now. I would have to drop like 40 pounds and be like a stick to come close.
Yeah, dude. I was never really a really good runner, but I mean, I used to finish the mile and a half at around 9.
That's good.
So, could I would have to walk that mile and a half today. It would be 20 minutes before I got back.
Well, I actually cared more about my PT score back then. I was like, I have to max. And now it's like, okay, I'll get a pretty decent score, but I'm not going to freak out and like blow my knees out trying to run super fast. So that also is part of it. But yeah, I could run it, but it wouldn't be fast.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still like right now I'm about 175 pounds. I like to be about 180, but yeah.
Dude, guess how much I weighed recently? Guess.
Well, how tall are you?
5'10".
Okay, so you got thick bones, dude. I'm an ectomorph. I'm gonna go with 210.
I was 235 pounds.
Jesus,
I freaking huge, and this is because I haven't been lifting in a while. I cannot believe I weighed that much. I'm not like fat, but I just keep getting heavier and heavier and heavier the older I get. So now I've been hitting it pretty hard at the gym, hopefully to cut like 10 or 15 pounds.
Yeah, you have a way better bone structure than I do. I have a thin ectomorph build.
Yeah, but if you had seen me a couple of years ago, dude, I was way thinner. I'm just kind of like fleshed out as I got into
that's common though for guys getting into their 30s.
Yeah, I mean, I like being bigger, but when I saw 235, I was like, holy crap, that is way too much weight.
I mean, I wish I could be built like him. I'm just not. I wish I was built like Tim Kennedy.
Yeah.
Just that dude is just a pure mesomorph, like just built for athletics, or I don't know, Jocko might be a little bit too thick for me. That dude just looks like he could curb stomp a gorilla.
Yeah, I think I'll look more like Jocko when I'm older. If I keep on the same trend that I'm doing right now, that's what I'm going to look like.
You probably will, dude. Like I said, when you were like, we're going to roll, I was like, dude, I'm injured and you've way thicker bones than I do. We ain't fucking rolling.
I'm just big bone, Jay. That's it.
I wish, man. I got a joke about that, like that I haven't told it on stage, and I'm like, I talk about like, why would you even need an AR-15? And I'm like, you see this? This is a bitch paw. It ain't knocking anybody out. Somebody breaks into my house, I need a weapon. I'm not one-shotting anybody who comes in. I'm too injured to just draw you into a long cardio contest because I don't have that either anymore because I can't run.
Yeah, I actually had a loaded revolver in my drawer, but then I'm so paranoid that something is because there's no safety on it. And I was paranoid there's something that was gonna pull that trigger. Like if I pulled the drawer open, so I unloaded it. So now my main defense, I have a knife by my bed, and then I have my rifle, but it's not loaded. So if I get attacked, I'm probably gonna have to grab my knife, or maybe take my rifle and beat him across the head, but I won't be able to shoot anybody.
Stuff one of these.
Tomahawk.
Dude, I love this thing.
Yeah, actually, I gotta show you my knives. I have like a K-bar and a couple others. They're pretty nice.
Well, dude, I didn't want to tell you this, but like a birthday present, I'm gonna spend like $300 on a nice custom Bowie.
Oh, my birthday's in September. If you want to give me some.
Dude, this guy he did my tomahawk. The guy's a sick blacksmith. It's called Walk by Faith 777. It's real religious, dude. Real religious family, and they make such cool stuff. Like if anybody's listening and you want a nice blade, that's probably the dude you get it from. He's a talented blacksmith.
Can you make me a broadsword, like a two-hander?
I don't know. You might contact him. He said on there, we'll make pretty much anything that isn't super weird.
Yeah, like I want a massive sword, like one of those cleavers. That'd be awesome to have just for fun.
You want to the sword William Wallace uses is a claymore.
It's basically I don't know what you call it, but it's like the sword that's almost like as tall as you, and you have to like two-hand it. That's what.
Yeah, it's claymore.
Yeah, I want a claymore.
I think it would be cool. I think it would be cool to have that on the wall as a wall hanger.
That's my self-defense weapon, bro. Somebody comes up the stairs and I just dive with my claymore.
Cut them in half. Like
Cut 'em in half.
Like I'm watching on the news, the Virginia news. Local man cuts man in half who broke into his house with a claymore. They're getting interviewed with your claymore. You're like, yeah, man, I warned him not to come at me, and I've always really wanted to use this thing, so I just cut him in half.
I had no choice. My life was threatened,
Yeah, it's like, dude, it's like, another part of my joke was like, I have the joke. I don't know how funny these are. I got to test them out with the crowd. I'm like, I don't need a gun because I'm a real man. I'm like, you do realize that Brock Lesnar exists, right? And you do realize that somebody kicked his ass. You need a gun. Like, dude, can you imagine that when you talk about just gifted, that dude is so gifted that I don't think he ever played football or he played in high school, and he was almost good enough in advanced age to make the Vikings.
Yeah. If you're an older guy and you can still play football, that's very, very impressive.
What was he? Was he in his late 20s or early 30s when he was going to do that?
Oh, I have no idea. I don't watch football. I don't know any of these people.
I don't watch sports ball either. But the only thing that like I looked into it was just that, because I was like, are you kidding me? A guy that's past like college age is able to like almost, and I've heard that a lot of the reason he didn't make the team is the players didn't like him, so they sabotaged him.
You got to be part of the clique, bro.
Yeah, man. It's just you get different gifts, but yeah, you might be on the Jocko path.
Oh yeah, I think I'm gonna. If I don't work out, I'm gonna be a fat butt in the future. So I'm gonna have to keep lifting, and I'll probably look like Jocko. My head, I'll probably be more attractive than Jocko. At least I hope so, because that guy's head is kind of busted. But besides that, body wise, I'll probably look like him.
Marcus Luttrell said he looks like a Spartan helmet. He does, dude. You look at him, you're like, dude,
he's not a good looking man.
You're like, you are exactly who a Spartan helmet was designed to fit, dude.
All right, man. I'm probably gonna tap out.
All right, man. That's fine. I gotta eat. We did hour 52 minutes. I gotta eat and I gotta take a piss, man.
All right, man. I'll see you next week.
All right, man. I'll try and get somebody for next week.
All right, sounds good.
All right, brother.
Later.
Ugh.